My guest today is Minister Dominique Dalexander, President of the Next Generation Action Network. This is the first day of the second week of the trial of Aaron Dean, the former Ford police officer who fatally shot Tatiana Jefferson in 2019. So your group came out last week with a very strongly worded public statement about the prosecution's handling. What prompted your group to speak up last week?
Well, our organization, of course, founded in 2014, is no stranger to trials in this capacity, right? Of course, we've been there in response to the trial of Roy Oliver and Amber Geiger, who both were successfully convicted. So we're no stranger when it comes to the process of how to get officers and hold officers accountable under Texas state law, which is pretty much, Texas has some of the most lenient laws in regards to officers' accountability than any state probably in the country. But yet at the end of the day, just seeing some of the things that went on in that trial last week caused us to question as to how hard the prosecutors were going to get to the bottom of it, right? And I think that one of the things is that one pointed out, even when you saw the reaction from the city, when you saw the reaction from the mayor, Bessie Price at the time, when you saw the reaction of Chief Krause, right? They clearly documented the policies, the general orders that he violated, right? They articulated those things, right? But we have not saw prosecutors articulate that, right? And even seeing today where the defense goes and asks for a directive verdict, that's a bold move to even, they know that the burden of proof has not even been proven, right? And I just feel like the best interest of making sure justice for Tatiana Jefferson, based on my experience, right? Now, I say this before, I hope, God, that I am wrong and that a conviction comes through here, right? Because this family deserves justice, right? But the reality is that looking based on our experience is very problematic right now. Of course, due to our organization experience, we came to this determination, and we want the community to be organized and ready to respond to this trial.
And a few more specifics. You mentioned in similar Dallas trials, they'll have multiple prosecutors. I think they mentioned like 5.
Yeah.
And we have a very different situation here. And talk about that, and then the failure to humanize who Tatiana was in this community.
Well, in Dallas and other places where I've traveled across this country to see officers be convicted of these type of crimes, you can tell that is the #1 priority of the district attorney in regards to resources, in regards to staff that is provided there, and different things of that nature. Of course, you always have 2 people who are leading, a first and a second chair, but the reality is the staff that's on that front row, we know that that's always the district attorney office, and we don't see that, right? But I see, we have grown to learn and love Tatiana Jefferson and find out who she is. This scientist, this larger than life character, this person who wanted to revolutionize science, right? So many different videos that showed us the humanity. The reason why the family has the Tatiana Project that is focused on STEM education for youth, right? That's not something that they just came with afterwards. That was Tatiana's life, right? And they living it out through that foundation. But you're not saying that, right? You're not getting the jury to understand, right? Because this jury has to sit down there and say, okay, we don't know anything, we've been impartial. So they need to really know, you know what I mean? Some of these jurors might not even never heard of a Tatiana Jefferson, right? Or the impact that her family, or the impact of her life, right? So you don't bring none of her professors. You don't bring none of her college roommates. You don't bring people who can attest to the personality or the people who can attest to it. And I just feel like when you put that in the combination of them failing to articulate the policies that Aaron Dean violated, I think that we are in for something that I don't think this community wants to happen. But the reality is that organizations like ours has to call a spade and call it out.
And you've done so. So this week the defense has basically their turn to make their case. The ball's in their court, so to speak. We have no control over what the prosecution does, but what do you hope to see this week, and what is your group going to be watching for?
Well, we hope to see a conviction.
Yeah.
But our group are watching. Of course, we're being advised by our attorneys and as well as partner attorneys in this process. We're just trying to make sure that our community is informed in the process, educated. A lot of times, a lot of mixed emotions are given during this process. So one of the things that we want to do is make sure and ensure that people are educated on what is currently going on in the courtroom and what is the failures of it, right? But it's just shown that, we know during the tenure of the entirety of the district attorney, Sharon Wilson, is that she has failed to hold officers accountable under her watch. And yet at the end of the day, of course, we're no stranger to Sharon Wilson and her tactics. And we have seen that Sharon Wilson has not prioritized this 3-year trial that we've been waiting on.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time and for clearly articulating what we all saw last week. If folks want to follow your group, where can they go?
So you can go on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all different social media handlers at NextGen Action. One word, NextGen Action. We're on all social media platforms. Please support the Next Generation Action Network and everything that we do.
Okay. Thanks for what you do, and thanks for your time. All right. We appreciate it.